All right, everybody. You see blackness. You see nothing but, nothing there. And you're kind of wondering yourself, did the streamer messed up? Is there a problem? Is there issues going about? Nope. Nope, no problems at all. Because, hello, everybody. This is Anthony Beyond from Mission Start Podcast with another episode of Mission Start Podcast. I am a little dark, actually. I need to open my windshield a bit. So I'm adjusting my mic a little bit just so you can see my face a little bit. With me today, joining me from the depths of Ninja Turtleville, or the sewers, as it were, is Greg Dietz. Your mic is off, by the way.
All right, there we are. Hi, everybody.
Great.
You could see me talking, but nothing was nothing was happening.
It was like an old school Asian film, when a mouth talk and just things will come out, but it was just slow. Anyway, so thank you again for joining us for this another episode of the Mission Star Podcast. We got a slew of topics to talk about this week. And spoilers. It's kind of the same as last week because two games game coming up pretty soon that everybody's hyped for, and one game that is particularly having issues as of late. So, with that being said, let's get into the news. And let's see where to begin. Well, let's start with the game industry's EA and what their recent thoughts were on Project Scorpio and how they believe this is actually a good thing for the game industry. Give me 1 second. Where is that? Here we go. Okay, so let me pop up the article real quick. This was reported by James Ori from VideoGamer.com. Titled PS4 and Xbox mid-cycle refresh, great for the industry, says EA. Plans for Xbox Scorpio and PlayStation 4 Neo, the mid-cycle consoles refreshes with more graphical grunt are being welcomed with open arms by EA, which sees the move as a way to ensure bigger global community of players to sell products to. Quote, We're continuing to be excited about the growth of the overall console business, Blake Jorgensen, EA Chief Financial Officer, said during the publisher's Q1 earnings call. And I think the plans that were announced at E3 around both Xbox and PlayStation were viewed in the industry as a very positive. I think moving beyond the notion of or jumping into the compatibility issue head on and trying to stop the notion of having consoles that are not compatible will help the software side of the equation dramatically over time, and I think that it's a plus, big plus. And then CEO Andrew Wilson also offered his thoughts on the new systems as well. At a macro level, we're excited about what Sony and Microsoft have announced, he said. The reality for us is, again, in the network world, liquidity of players is really, really important. And what we've seen over the last decade or more with respect for PC gamers is that the community has continued to grow and has grown a world where the hardware refresh cycle has been discontinued from the software refresh cycle, and that's what it's meant to. That is what it meant. And what that's meant is that irrespective of what kind of device you have within kind of a 7 to 10 year time frame, you're able to play that much bigger global community. Basically, the entire article kind of goes in depth explaining that this is a good thing that Microsoft EA saying that it is a good thing that we're going into this mid-cycle of console generation in terms of changing the format of what we used to, in terms of every 4 to 5 years we're getting a console. They like the mid-cycle of now maybe 2 to 3 years, maybe sooner than that, to get a new console. Whether I agree with that statement as a consumer, no, I don't. As a consumer, I do not like this. Only reason why is because if I buy a console that I assume was going to be something I'm going to use for the next 2 to 5 years, and then another 2 to 3 years I have to go buy a new one because there's a better one out there, And depending what they do with that console in terms of, like, are they going to have specifically moving games from that console to the next one, or um, are they going to sustain both for a long time? Which, some companies do, some companies don't. But I don't know. Too early to tell. We're still very
I this is a hold on one second. I'm sorry.
as Greg is going to talk to his folks or about to give his thoughts. I think again, like, I think that I don't, as a consumer, I don't like this idea. I think as a businessman, yeah, I think it's great. I think as a businessman, I think this is actually a good thing.
Sorry, I forgot to tell my mom that I was podcasting, so she walks in my room just talking on the phone.
Oh.
Anyway, what I was going to say before that happened, this is not the first time that a game company has released a new console. Microsoft said at E3 that with Project Scorpio, with the Xbox One S, and with the Xbox One, they're all compatible with the same games. Like, yes, developers can make a game for the Scorpio that's different than the Xbox One, and Scorpio is kind of an upgrade from the Xbox One, but in that same regard, the Xbox One was a not complete console. It kind of was not what they really wanted, at least after the original CEO had left. So, whatever. That's whatever. They're not going to shut down the way the Xbox One works after Scorpio comes out. As for the PS4, this new PS4 is no different than the slim version of something.
Mm-hmm.
It's sure it's better, but they always are better. I mean, look at if you look at a day one Xbox 360 to an Xbox One or Xbox 360 Slim, drastically different systems, but they played the same stuff. Now, if you had an original Xbox that still ran, kudos to you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I see these being. I find it really funny that suddenly, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but suddenly the these newer versions of the already existing consoles is somehow now qualified as crazy and unique and weird, whereas that wasn't always the case.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah?
I'm
I was
here.
like,
I'm
did I
just,
cut out?
no, I'm just thinking about it. Yeah. I think that, I mean, the thing about this entire thing is, like, it's still really new to all of us. I think that, if anything, the one thing that I think we're kind of figuring out is, like, is the industry kind of going in that direction, kind of like as the mobile phone market is, where, like, every few years you get a new phone, and the same thing with the consoles.
Maybe.
This
That's a big maybe, and the reason I use the term maybe is because I was told a long time ago that when it comes to technology, primarily software, sometimes hardware, technology advances. Like, let's say if you compare technology to the car industry. The car industry innovates every 5 to 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, consoles have that same speed. No, I'm sorry. Let me try again. Have a similar growth, except take a decade for the car industry and smash that into a year. So every year, technology innovates. So if you are behind and technology is becoming more and more increasingly like that, that if you have a console that comes out on the market, this is why PC is starting to have a bigger uprise now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a console that comes out on the market, in 2 to 3 years, that console is technically obsolete.
That is true. There's always been the struggle between, if you think about between consoles and PCs, is that they've always been ahead of consoles, no matter what, because there's always been a new graphics card that would come out that is much better than the previous one, and it's a lot quicker. And it takes about a good couple years for the console to catch up to the PCs. And I think, kind of wrapping this back around, now that I think about it, Phil Spencer was kind of alluding to this because the idea of consoles being upgradable, whether it be through whether it be through within the Xbox One or even upgrading with new console, you kind of alluded to this in terms of like, what if we're able to upgrade our consoles just as fast as PCs?
Right, and he Valve has kind of done that a little bit with what they want to do with the Valve box. It's basically a home console that does very set specific things, but it's upgradable.
Yeah.
At least they wanted to do that. I don't know if they're still doing that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So
It's tough. I mean,
yeah.
it's definitely a tough situation to be put in as a company that just wants to make, console stuff in general. I think, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo definitely have this weird place that they're in where 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't weird. It wasn't out of the norm for that to be a thing. But today, in the same price, like you buy an Xbox One for $400, you can buy a gaming PC for $400. That's upgradable. Some argue that, oh, well, not, like let's take this a similar argument that I'm trying to find a parable to. The 30 games on the little Nintendo thing that Nintendo's coming out with. Like the old school NES one, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. The I forgot it's called the Nintendo Remix or something along those lines.
Somebody in Slappy Meat's chat, Slappy Meat being one of the guys that streams on Half Empty streaming tonight, actually. There's a person in that chat that said they were excited for it. And Slappy said, I'm not. Why would I spend $60 on something that I can get for free right now? That person's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I can go onto my PC and I can download every single one of those games and more for free. In the exact same way the emulator is going to work on that little Nintendo device. The person goes, well, the cool thing about it is, A, it looks like an NES. All right, cool, whatever. And the other thing that's cool about it is it comes with like a little Nintendo controller. And then I pointed out, well, for like $5 on eBay or other websites, Amazon, wherever the fuck have you, you can buy a USB adapter that is almost the exact same weight and size as those classic NES controllers. They exist. I've seen them. I've held them. So the argument you're trying to make is that for $60 you can get the same thing that somebody on PC can get for 6 or for $5. Doesn't really fit. But the argument that I made on the other offhand of that is, not everybody's computer savvy. Not everybody knows how to upgrade their PC, download emulators. They don't know how to do that sort of thing. It takes a little bit of know-how to get an emulator to work on your PC.
Right.
And this is coming from somebody who has both friends in the, who are tech savvy and who are not. And I've talked to both, and like getting one of my friends, like, sure, I could show him how to download emulators and get them to run on his PC, but what's going to be better for him in the long run? We had this long time conversation about, like, he loves Apple products, and something I've noticed about Apple products is Apple products are very much designed for people who are not as tech savvy. That's not to say that tech-savvy people don't use Apple products, because that's totally a thing. But the point is that's why things like that exist. That's why consoles exist. Sony, Microsoft, and even Nintendo kind of bank on that. I think that when we're talking about them releasing newer versions of their consoles, with upgraded material, that's them essentially going, well, this is the upgraded version. If you had a PC, you'd be spending $200 to upgrade it every 3 years. So you're kind of doing the same thing right here.
That is true. That is very true. And I do agree with that. With that assessment, because like I
walked all the way around that bush to explain one point.
I do agree, because like I feel like I've been playing more games on PC more than I have my consoles. And that you are right in terms like we already do it on the PC, and that somebody who maybe not as tech savvy to know how to build a PC, or even where to buy a good PC, um, may just default to the console because it's pretty straightforward. You get the console, it plays games at a very very high level or high detail level of a game, and they pop the game in or download it, and away they go. So definitely it's definitely two sides of the argument. I can see why EA saying like this is great for the industry. I could as a consumer may not as much if you're on consoles more often, but it also depends on the price too. I don't know. It's a weird situation. Again,
Right,
this is all new to us, so.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say it's terribly new. I'd say what's new is like back in the day, if somebody had a PC and then other people were like, well, I have a Genesis and I have a Super Nintendo, they weren't comparable. They were two completely
Right.
different things.
I would, and just to add to that, just kind of to correct myself, actually, this was a thing back then, and I think the most earliest kind of case of this was like the Sega Genesis and like the power the tower power it had. So you had like the 32X on top of like some other thing you put on top just to make your game slightly faster, just to make it slightly better and faster. But yeah, I mean, like in the modern age of the game industry and game consoles, like it's I'm wondering what people are going to react to, or how they're going to go about it. I wonder. Well, actually, I take that back. I already know what's going to happen. They're going to buy the new consoles and adapt to the new way that the industry is going to work. So it's going to be like that. Because again, PC wise, we're already doing it as it is. We're getting new RAM. We're getting new graphic cards like every so often. So it's not like anything new for us. So for consoles, I can see that happening. So
yeah. Like I said, what's new is the fact that we live in a gaming landscape that there are more opportunities for gaming and doing cool gaming things on PC than there are on console.
Yep.
And consoles definitely like fighting to stay alive right now. And they're staying alive solely based on the not as tech savvy. Microsoft is definitely taking a proper step forward in like releasing their upcoming titles as both Windows 10 games and and Xbox games.
Yeah, very very bold move from Microsoft on that point.
Well, they're going in the right direction because I believe that after Project Scorpio, they're not going to make any more consoles. Mark my words, Microsoft is done making consoles after Project Scorpio, and they're going to be making everything for Windows 10. Now they might release a less than tech savvy PC, but I don't think they're making any more consoles.
I think
Which is why Project Scorpio is not called Xbox.
I think I'm gonna go on a limb because Microsoft loves money. I think that they're gonna make consoles. It may stop for a while after Project Scorpio, but I think that the excitement that a console launch brings to people, which still do, and the talk and the news, the media that talk about it, I think that Microsoft is gonna continue making consoles.
Well, I'm not here. Here's my thing. Here's I feel like I kind of made that. I said that incorrectly. They're not. It's not that they're not going to make consoles. They're just not going to make the Xbox anymore. You get what I'm saying? Like the next system, quote unquote, after the Project Scorpio, I got something in my eye. Will be an upgradable console. Will be something that is not the Xbox. It'll be basically a tech savvy or a less than tech savvy PC that Microsoft can then just be like, "Hey, Major Nelson, would you like to let all the fans know that we have a new device coming out for their so they can upgrade it?"
And then to that,
it costs $50.
And then to that, I'll say there's already a thing like that already out there. It's called the Steam boxes. which are basically
Right.
just console PCs.
Which I'd like to also point out that Microsoft tried to do what PC was doing already with Steam. They tried to have a Steam situation on their end, and it fucking blew up in their face.
Yes, it
So,
did, because they
so
were
see.
not clear about, and they were not clear on their marketing, and they screwed that up. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. If Greg is right, I don't know, hell freeze over. So we'll see. Uh, all right, so going from EA and the talks of the game industry and consoles, to I'm gonna start with. Oh, actually, speaking of Valve, how about this? Yeah. So, new rules from Valve and on bans and gifts. So let me bring up B-roll because that's how I work. Unless I forgot to put it in. Yes, I did. All right, cool, awesome. You see my face now. So recently, Steam has put out a new rules on permanent bans and gift restrictions. This was in result of the CS:GO fiasco with the skins and the illegal gambling that was happening with those skins. Since then, Valve has went back and revised their restrictions, and this is what came out of it. So this is posted on Steam's website under Steam support. Permanent bans and gift restrictions. VAC, that's the anti-cheating system they use, and game ban enabled games can either be bought for your own account or gifted immediately. They can no longer be saved to your inventory for trading purposes. If you directly gift a game to someone who gets permanently banned, you won't be able to get that gift that game again. Valve anti-cheat technology. Many games on Steam utilize the Valve anti-cheat system or third-party anti-cheat technology can result in cheaters being banned from secure servers for multiplayer games. It has a link to more information about that. Game bans. Game bans are used by game developers to address malicious behavior that falls outside of VAC detection. Game bans are determined by the game developer. They can range from single-day bans to permanent bans. And then how is this affecting gifting? When a user is caught cheating, their Steam account is banned from playing multiplayer on their secure servers. This creates an incentive for people who cheat to stockpile copies of games on one account and to gift them to low-value accounts when they can continue cheating. In response to this problem, Steam no longer allows users to purchase copies of a VAC or game ban enabled game to their inventory. Additionally, if an account has directly gifted a game to other players who have been VAC or permanently game banned, then that account will lose the ability to gift that game. We're taking these steps to ensure the integrity of the multiplayer experience for those participating in an online gaming communities. We understand that the restrictions on the bind to inventory may be inconvenient for some legitimate users, but we believe that these steps will reduce the number of cheaters who play against. And that's important, having an online experience that's fair and enjoyable for everyone. So they're more strict. Point being, they're more strict about their stuff now because of what happened with the CS:GO fiasco. So, yeah, that's kind of crazy as far as how far they can go when it comes to now they can ban your multiplayer games. You can't play them from your account.
Right. Yeah, they I think we were talking about this last week with the recent Overwatch bans.
Yes, I think it was.
Speaking of Overwatch, and I think this is kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to me what constitutes a permanent ban on games like these and what constitutes a day ban.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of talking to somebody about it last night too. Overwatch right now has a special game type called Lucio Ball.
Yep.
And in Lucio Ball, if you mash A really quickly before the match starts, there's a chance that one of those A mashes you'll hit at the exact right moment, and you will spawn as a different character instead of Lucio.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on the character, this does have an unfair advantage, like in Torbjorn or Torbjorn or Bastion. Oh, pardon me, Bastion. But Sorry, a little water just came up. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because it does change the game so much so that it almost seems unfair. It seems bullshitty. But the point that I was making to these people, that I like to make to these people, is you are quite literally arguing that these people who abuse this bug should deserve a ban. Now, as I was reading forums and stuff, I got a little worried because I was like, oh, maybe it does deserve a ban because it is exploiting a cheat. But as this guy that I was playing with had made a point, this is a bullshit game type that matters for nothing. Is literally to have fun. Yep. There's no prize pool, there's no permanent record, there's nothing. So you lose, you get some XP, and you move on with your day. The matches are 4 minutes long. Who the fuck cares? Really, at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah.
But if you're using an exploit that they need to fix, then yeah, you deserve a day ban. So like, let's say you're playing regular quick play, okay? And you're using some exploit that locks you into the map and you can shoot all the teammates without, or the enemies without them being able to shoot you. Then yeah, you deserve a ban. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once and I need to concentrate on what I'm saying. So I'm gonna look up at the wall at nothing. You deserve a 2-day ban, or not 2-day damage. You deserve at least a ban for a day if you're using an exploit that is altering the game, that is adjusting people's like records and stuff. If you're straight up using hacks, whether it be to like make someone else's what looks like their internet's really slow, or a which I can't remember what the fuck that's called, a lag something. Lag something. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, or you're using an aimbot, quite literally.
Yep.
Or you're using just a hack that changes the colors in which where you shoot matter. So like, let's say you're shooting this direction, and when you shoot this way, the game goes, well, that hitbox right there turns green when he aims correctly towards it and presses the button, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a hack that makes the gun always see green. So no matter where you shoot, if there's somebody on your screen, basically it makes their hitbox your screen.
Yep.
And it's bullshit. That's cheating. That's quite literally cheating. That deserves a permanent ban. You don't deserve to play the game.
Yep.
If you're a kid and you are on the playground and you got the ball for the day, like let's say you're in first grade and the teacher comes up and says, all right, I'm gonna pull a name out of the hat to see who gets the big red ball. Oh, it's Jimmy. And then she walks outside and Jimmy's just taking the red ball and bouncing it in people's fucking faces and laughing. Guess what happens? He doesn't ever get the red ball again.
Agreed.
Period.
Agreed. I think.
But let's say Jimmy's doing this. Let's say Jimmy does it once. He's like, pong, off of someone's face, and he laughs about it. And the teacher goes, well, you don't get it for the rest of the day. See the difference there?
Yeah.
The punishment does fit the crime. And I feel like this is kind of what needs to happen. And I hope other companies follow suit with this. If you are quite literally using hacks to cheat, you don't deserve to play the game. Period.
Agreed.
I was doing the exploit in Lucio Ball. And if I get a 24-hour ban, so be it. I used an exploit that made it not fun for other players, possibly. I mean, most people said they were having fun, whatever. But if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to argue it because it's their call. And I did do it. Am I going to do it anymore? No, because I'm fucking wearing the shit out of my A button. I played it for seriously 6 hours last night, and no, 7 hours last night. From 6 to 1 in the morning, I did it. So
wow.
I have probably put a lot of wear and tear on that A button. But the point is that and it only worked like a couple times for me too. Point I'm getting at is I want to see more of this. I want to see developers take it to the next level because unfortunately, especially on PC, some people need to be made an example of.
Yeah.
Something that, and I think this is really funny, and this is kind of on the same topic. I say kind of because, whatever. Uh, Funhouse podcast kind of touched upon this, and I think this is actually a very interesting point. A lot of people who are pissed off about the bans they got on Overwatch. Which are there any like in this article? Are there any other companies that are doing this same like permaban from multiplayer?
To my knowledge, this recently went up, so I'm not sure who else is taking advantage of this. I would say that CS:GO will probably be the big one that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that was in the recent scandal. I'm pretty sure that's a big one. I'm gonna assume other games maybe there are multiplayer focused like Overwatch. Well, not dang, it's what am I saying? Rocket League probably another good one to.
Oh yeah.
Use. You know, other games that were also multiplayer focused out there.
I'm just curious. The only reason I'm asking is because I keep saying Overwatch, but I'm curious if there's any other companies doing it as well.
I would assume that they will eventually hop on this, already have been.
Right.
The one thing that I am cautioning that, and this may happen rarely, is that you're giving the developer the opportunity to ban anybody with the power of, hey, if this person is doing some shady stuff outside of the game, then that person is banned for the day. Or if it's really malicious, that person is banned altogether, cannot play this game online. Now,
right.
What is to say they are reading interviews, this one person, say it's like some very popular YouTuber saying the game is bad, it's horrible, I had a not fun experience, that developer can say like, oh, this person's like our game, and he plays it. Well, I guess we should, ban that person. I'm not to say that it happens often, but the power that developer has.
Is the argument is that if a developer has the right to ban someone for cheating, permabanning them for cheating, that they could have the right to permaban somebody for any reason?
Exactly.
Is that what the argument is?
Exactly. Not to say it's a bad. Not to say
that
cheating.
Bullshit on that. I call bullshit on that because, as a developer, you know full well that people are going to sue you if they get permabanned for cheating. As a matter of fact, some lawsuits have already gone through on Blizzard for Overwatch bans. If I'm not cheating and I get a permaban, like legitimate cheating, and I get a permaban, I will be taking action towards Blizzard. And let's say I wasn't even using the exploit in Lucio. If I were to get a permaban for cheating, I would want proof. I would I would take the steps and I would ask for proof.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know in my heart of hearts that I wasn't cheating. I know in my heart of hearts that there's nothing I was using, there's no hacks or anything like that. Now, if somebody, let's say, for example, like you said, somebody gets a hack tool gifted to them through Steam or what the fuck ever, and somehow that's detected, then I mean, you could take the steps to show them that it was gifted.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Blizzard like responds to emails and shit like that. Like, if there's a necessity, like, I just don't see that being a thing. I don't see that being an argument. To me, that's the same argument of like of anti-gun control activists saying, "Oh, it's not the gun that kills people; it's the people that kill people."
Right.
It doesn't matter. Stop those people killing people from getting fucking guns.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring it up is the fact that you're given, the developer should have that power to begin with. They have full control of who.
Yeah, I'm not arguing you. I'm not arguing you. I'm arguing them.
Yeah.
I know that you're not making that argument.
Yeah. If I were, man, we would have issues. No, I think that from that point of view, it's kind of like the same thing, like in NFL, the commissioner has all the power. He is the judge, jury, and execution when it comes to rules in the NFL. And that was something that the NFL players agreed to because they wanted to play football. kind of the same idea here, where you give all the power to the devs to say, you know, you can ban this person for cheating, which you can, which you should do, but don't use it for anything else. That basically, with great power comes great responsibility.
Sure, and I think that a lot of these companies that like Overwatch and CS:GO and basically the companies making these multiplayer games, they want people to have a good competitive in experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're going to go to the extent of banning people from their game because they gave them a bad review. There's only a few developers I can think of that would actually do that, and they aren't making anything that's going to have that big of an audience to begin with. So,
Yep.
it's I don't really see it being an issue. But if people want to make that argument, I'll just fucking argue right back that they're being dumb and they shouldn't cheat, because clearly if they're making that argument, they're cheating.
Yeah. Agreed.
But like I was gonna say earlier about Funhouse, the comment that they made was that something I find interesting about these cheaters is that one of the arguments they make is, well, we paid $60 for the game. I own the game. I can do whatever I want with it. And that's not true. Just because you paid $60 for Overwatch does not mean you own Overwatch. You bought a copy of the game so you can play it. You didn't buy the servers. You didn't buy the code. You didn't buy the equipment. You bought just the game. You bought one copy of it. So you can... basically, you rented the game.
Yep, pretty much.
So you can permanently play it.
Pretty much.
The best equivalent I can give to that, because I mean that's pretty fucking black and white right there, is if you lease a car from a company, from like, let's say you go to Nissan and you're like, I'm gonna lease this car, and you don't own that fucking car yet. You don't own that car for 5 years. You own that car when you make your final fucking payment. At the time, it's still property of Nissan. So if you decide to run into a bunch of fucking people at a fucking mall, you don't get to go get your car back after you get out of jail or what the fuck ever happens. That car's gone. It's no longer yours.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, it's very rare that companies go out and actually do that, said thing that I'm kind of pointing at. But yeah, I think overall, I think it's a good thing. I think that, Steam, Valve recognizes, and it's like, hey, we need to fix this for everybody, pretty much. And I'm glad they did. So yeah. Alright, so going from the rules and all the stuff from Valve, we're going to talk about a game that everybody's excited about for next week, and that's No Man's Sky. Now, we talked about it last week, just kind of how this one guy paid $2,000 just to play the early copy of No Man's Sky. One of the things that has, as it's building up until the release, there has been already leaked footage of the game. People already streamed it. People already beaten it. And they kind of gave their thoughts and experience. Even a review has been out there for a little bit. There has been no review copies of No Man's Sky out given to any outlets right now. As far as like how this guy got the game, I don't know. Yet to be seen.
Right.
But Sean Murray of No Man's Sky, founder of the company of Hello Games, went on Twitter the other day and says, if you are playing our game without our update on a leaked copy, then please don't. It's not what the experience. That's not players will experience, because the reason he said that, they're rolling out an update, day one update for No Man's Sky. That means that they went out and said that they're going to completely wipe the servers on the day of the release. So anything that guy has experienced or seen may not actually be the actual experience that said person will be. And there's more information on this on IGN.com by Nicole Carpenter. No Man's Sky has made it out into the wild a bit early from an early copy sold on eBay to retailers, breaking street dates. But those who've gained access to the game Endless Universe won't see the discovery save when the official release comes. Henry Denholm, a programmer at Hello Games, posted on Twitter, the No Man's Sky servers will be wiped on Sunday before the game launches on August 9th on PlayStation 4 and on August 12th on PC. So in 2 more days. she also added that no game saves, although just Discovery Online storage will be wiped. Both developer Hello Games and publisher Sony have expressed frustration over the early copies. And this is the quote I just said about, no, sorry. Sean Murray took to Twitter and asked fans not to spoil No Man's Sky for themselves. We spent years filling No Man's Sky with surprises, he wrote. You spent years waiting. Please don't spoil it for yourself. So, and they had, and if you guys want to check it out, the entire update is on their website as far as like what exactly they're taking away as well and fixing and whatnot. It does contain spoilers, so if you're gonna check it out, beware. Oh, it's a black screen. Sorry, was not paying attention.
But Anthony, I want to see it. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's pretty much black and white right there. Like, just fucking wait.
Yep. The one thing that okay, the hype behind this game is pretty ridiculous. People are proclaiming that this is the game that they're gonna play forever, and that this is the only game they're gonna play, and nothing else. It's kind of getting to the point where I feel like this game is going to be. I think it's going to be good, but I think that because of the hype that was built up by everybody around wanting the game and just kind of waiting for it, but it didn't quite help that Halo Games kind of been like very tight-lipped when it came to its development and release trailers here and there, but nothing really as far as like what exactly you can do in the game. I feel like it's going to be a letdown for some, or I wouldn't say.
Of course, well, of course it's going to be a letdown for some. It's absolutely going to be a letdown for some because, you can never have that kind of hype. You can never have that kind of very loudly expressive people, and oh god, how do I say this? Because I'm trying to figure out a way to say this correctly. When you are releasing a game and it has this much hype, it has as much hype as No Man's Sky has, not everyone's going to be pleased with it. Now, a lot of people are saying this is going to be the only game I ever play. Well, something I've heard about the game is that every planet you go to may be procedurally generated. But much like Minecraft, every planet or every land that you create anew will also be procedurally generated. But you know the difference between Minecraft's world to world? Not that fucking much.
Yep.
So how long can you go from world to world, see the same shit over and over and over again, and not be bored? If it had like, and I want to see this. I haven't heard of this. I haven't seen it. But if I can go to a planet with civilized people on it, if this game could be more like Star Trek, in the idea that each planet I go to could be a primitive planet where there are no like intelligent creatures. It's just animals. But I could go to another planet where there's intelligent life. That'd be great. Also, what's the story? Is there a story? I heard there's a story. Like it's 3 hours long or some shit.
So this is what I've heard. That the story is getting to the center of the universe. And that's it. As far as like what the story is in the game. They basically kind of went out and said like, this is exploration of the game. You want to explore space? This is it. And you can do all sorts of things, build ships, harvest stuff on planet, discover new areas and whatnot.
Why am I hearing the Halo theme?
Because I have it on the background.
All right. I just curious, didn't know if I was losing my mind, didn't know if something was on my Xbox, and I was like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah, for those who don't know who are listening, I tend to put music behind our podcast because, hey, it's a little more entertaining. I'll be talking.
Of course, I'm totally with that. Oh, sorry. Well, okay, like, let's say it takes you 60 hours to get to the center of the universe and you beat the game. Like, how are you gonna play? How is this the only game you play?
I don't know. Tell the fans that. I mean, they're the ones who are like saying all this stuff. I mean, is it really gonna be the game where everybody, where nobody's gonna do whatever playing another game? I don't know. But to be fair, one could. I mean, people who play Minecraft, as a comparison, there are people that still play that game to this day and create new worlds with the stuff they make.
I get playing the game for years to come. I get that, but like, that's the only game I play. What?
I don't know.
What?
Th-
Have fun being a fucking loner. Like,
and here's the thing, like the game's not even out yet, so maybe this may become like, I don't know, maybe this becomes like the next like Half-Life. Who knows? It's kind of it's hyperbole as far as like what the what exactly we're putting out there in terms of like how this game's going to be and how great it's going to be, and it's kind of reaching at levels where it's like, okay, you're starting to see some of the like the crazies come out and like believe this is gonna be like the Jesus of video games, and it may be or may not be. Who knows? We'll find out August 9th. People are gonna go play this game. I'll watch some streams. I'll see what it's all about. But I don't know.
yeah. There's I know that Brian and Chris from Heat are both gonna play the stream it, so I'll be watching a shit ton of it. But
I might
mean,
pop in just to ask, like, hey, is this game like the best game of your life? just
it won't be. It won't be the best game of their life. I mean, it might be somebody like a few people's favorite.
yeah.
But I mean, like I've heard it being called Space Minecraft, and that's because it is all about exploration and collecting. And you go to a planet, you collect material or whatever, and then you leave to go to another planet. And as you warp to another planet, it's procedure generating another planet. Like, it's a cool concept, and I'm not saying it's not. God damn, it looks fucking cool. I wish I could play it. But I mean, and maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just my willingness to play a game for more than like a month. There are a few games I will play for extended periods of time, but within that state, like right now, Overwatch is my go-to game.
Of course.
However,
yeah,
I'm playing other games.
yeah, yep. Diverse your taste buds. I could let guys come all year long, but eventually I'm gonna get tired of it. So I need some other foods. So
Right. Yeah. It's just. Yeah. I mean. I don't know, dude. It's so weird to me, and I don't think that a lot of people who are like the hype for a lot of people is not gonna fucking pan out. This is why I go by the old adage, my old adage, maybe some others, but cautious optimism.
yep.
Like, I'm really looking forward to this thing. What?
Mm-hmm. All right. So going from one update to another, and so the other popular game has been people still playing today, which I think is still a great game. And that is Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go has seen some changes as of late. One in particular that was taken out was the tracking system in the game has been taken out due to the fact that it was causing a lot of server issues apparently, and will be brought back once everything is fixed. Another tweet has put it out from Pokemon Go. Trainers, a new bug affecting throw accuracy increases the odds of escape and omits the XP bonus. We're working on a fix. Stay tuned. And then they posted on their website just kind of like an update as far as like what exactly is going on with Pokemon Go. I'll just read the first paragraph real quick. Things have been crazy here at Niantic. Can I say
Niantic.
Niantic. Thank you. Over the last few weeks, but despite all the ups and downs, we get up every day inspired by the original goals of Niantic to create an experience that encourages healthy outdoor exploration and social gameplay. Every positive story we hear, like the one in the UK, motivates us to keep working to support the game and continue the rollout. Running a product like Pokemon Go at scale is challenging. These challenges have been amplified by third parties attempting to access our servers in various ways outside of the game itself. They went on to explain that they are working on the issues that are at hand, but at the moment people are not quite having. People are upset in terms of what exactly that they're changing the game into. Again, some of the stuff that they put out there is saying that they know of the known errors and fixes they need to work on, including um, Pokemon being able to run away more often, and that your accuracy is not going to be as great, um, and the tracking system kind of being taken away, which I think it's a pretty big part of the game actually.
It's the biggest part of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
some would argue that like, oh well, taking over gyms is the major part of the game. No, it's not. Collecting Pokemon is quite literally the biggest part of the game. That was the whole point of people leaving their house and going for walks, other than hatching eggs, which people figured out hacks to hatch eggs.
Yep.
The fucking biggest, and I say hack in very loose terms, is there's a bug with the GPS where if like you enter the game and then leave, go to like Facebook or something for like a minute or so, then go back into the game, the GPS has a thing where it then will have the character kind of walk back to where your position is, giving it like a kilometer or like a point of a kilometer. So you do that over and over and over throughout a day, and you can eventually hatch an egg without leaving your fucking house.
Yep.
There's also the fan thing and whatever, but Niantic is a company who made one other game, and it wasn't super popular. And that would be Ingress.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine if you will, Pokemon Go released as some other completely different third-party title. Let's say it's a brand new IP. Do you think it would have this big of a thing, this big of a problem? No. The only reason that people are still putting up with this bullshit is because it's fucking Pokemon.
Yep. That is correct. That is very correct.
Niantic has had the greatest of luck with releasing a game that has such a big fan base. They also had extreme luck with like that big fan base going outside and walking out in the public, and then people going, "What are all these people doing at the park? I don't understand." And then all of a sudden going, "Oh, well, like this is important enough for like completely random people who have never played Pokemon, or I've heard people not even hearing of Pokemon beyond playing this, and they're now playing it." So they did an excellent job at being lucky.
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
Pokemon Go was an unfinished game on release.
Yep.
I know that Niantic will work better at it, and I'll continue to play it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I just have no desire to hunt down Pokemon when it doesn't work.
Agreed.
When it's just off.
Agreed. And that is a great reason to not play the game right now because of these issues. And they're gonna address them and fix them. And later down the road, or right now, I should say. I think that on a scale of the game being huge and being the return of the Pokemon phenomenon like it was in the early 90s with the cards, like recapturing that feeling and that idea into today's modern age, how is the company going to how do you not support it, but like how do you like control as virtually like millions of people playing this game every day and the server's crashing? It's a feat that the game still works, because like it was released in the US, Japan, and in Europe, and I believe Canada as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's making games hard, and did they think that it's gonna become this huge of a popular game? No, I think that it had some instance of like how Pokemon is still a big name, but as far as like capturing that dream or like childhood memory of like going around and catching Pokemon while you have like your phone.
Well, I think I pointed out maybe on this podcast. I know I definitely pointed out to conversations with people. They did a very intelligent thing by having it only the first generation.
Agreed.
All of those people are adults now with cell phones, with jobs, some with free time. So walking around with their phones out is not that difficult of a task for them. But as for a lot of the generation that has started playing it, with let's say black and white, X and Y, they don't. They just don't have that opportunity. And I've actually heard a lot of kids who do have the opportunity going, I don't know who these Pokemon are. I recognize a few like Pikachu and Charizard, but there's a lot I just never heard of.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's because you didn't play it, because it wasn't part of your generation.
Nope. Yeah, it was not.
But, having it be the first gen is fucking brilliant. So
Agreed. So yeah, they're working on it. Time will tell in terms of how fast they get these updated. It's more how fast can they get these fixes out there before people start to wane and not really care about the game anymore, because a game's app lifespan, it all depends on how much you can keep that person's attention span to playing that game on the phone. So we'll have to see how fast they can bring out those updates, but right now it's still very, very popular. People are still playing it. So all right, so we got 2 quickies I want to put out there. So there was a game that came out 5 years ago called Vanquish, one of the early Platinum games to put out. And Vanquish has been teased to come out on PC. And this is an article written by Game Watcher by Jamie Davey. Vanquish was a third-party shooter developed by Platinum Games and published by Sega. It released in 2010, and although it received a positive critical reaction upon release, it didn't sell very well and was considered a commercial failure. It is a big shame, actually, because Vanquish is a really good game, which it really is. The good news is that Vanquish could be coming to PC soon, according to the tease from Platinum Games co-founder Ayushi Anaba during an interview with Kotaku. Is there a possibility that Vanquish will be a PC version? It would be a good idea to release Vanquish on PC. Asked the question from Kotaku, which Inabo then replied while smiling. I wonder if you stop recording, I can talk about that. And then laughs. So he teases that there's gonna be a PC version, possibly with Vanquish, and that would be great. This game was very underrated. For those who have not played it, it's a very awesome game. Think of like Gears of War. Well, you see it on. What am I saying? You just look at the gameplay on the screen right now. But look that shit. You're sliding around, like you're taking cover, and you're changing weapons at the same time. Very anime, like over the top. It is, yeah. I'm down for this. So, yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up on YouTube because I'm not watching the stream. I don't have that option at the moment. So
I suggest checking it out. The gameplay trailer online. It is ridiculously crazy. Think of like Metal Gear Solid Vengeance.
There was a game that came out a while ago, like quite a few years ago, called Vanquish, where you play as like a robotic soldier.
Yep, same person.
Okay, so why are you okay? Maybe I kind of got a little distracted by looking at attractive women on my phone. What? Why are we bringing up Vanquish?
Because the director is heading out a PC port for it.
Oh.
Yep. Yes, indeedy. It's
an okay game.
And then to wrap things up, we talked about it a bit last week as a quickie, but also want to bring it up today again, because the International is happening right now, and it's going to be on ESPN probably. But the numbers came out, ladies and gentlemen. We have so last time we reported, it was around like 18 million last we reported in terms of what the prize pool was for the Dota 2 International. It has been recently announced that the International, the prize pot, has reached to $20 million. So it is the biggest esports money in any event in history.
You say 20 million?
20 million.
Jesus.
Yes. So these teams who are competing in Dota 2, first and second place are going to get a crap ton of money. First place, they're all going to be millionaires. Second place may actually may all be close, or maybe also be millionaires, depending on what the split is. Yeah, it's crazy. If anything, if you guys are watching, it's probably more likely to be broadcast on ESPN2 probably more like last year. The international, I don't play Dota, but I respect the fact that it's got a lot of money, and I'll tune in for finals just to see the spectacle and the great setup that it has. So, yeah, but there you go, money in esports. Uh,
Hey, can I bring up? We're done. You have all the stories out there, right?
yeah, stories are done, but yes,
Quite literally, Kotaku just released an article, literally, like 2 hours ago, about a new game mode to Rocket League.
oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Called Rumble. It adds goofy power-ups to the game. There's the boot, which kicks an opponent's car. Disruptor forces the opponent to drive uncontrollably.
Mm-hmm.
Freezer, which freezes the ball in place. Grappling hook pulls the ball towards you. Haymaker punches the ball. Magnetizer attracts the ball to your car. Plunger grabs the ball via plunger and cord. Power hitter hit everything harder. Spike attach the ball to your car when you bump into it. Swapper change positions on the field with your opponent. And tornadoes sweep up the ball and cars into a giant funnel cloud.
So yeah. So basically, they just put in like party mode in
that sounds awesome. I want to play it.
and you shall after this podcast is over, which is now. You reached the end of the show, guys. Sorry for these streaming troubles. Apparently, I need to adjust my settings because I am at 100% usage on my CPU for some odd reason. But yeah. So let me get to the slide. Boop. All right. So if you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoy watching it on YouTube, watching it on Twitch, or listening to us on other podcast feeds, check us out on iTunes and Stitcher under Mission Start Podcast. We'll also have those podcasts uploaded on our site under the podcast section at missionstartpodcast.com. Also, if you want the podcast early, check out Patreon, patreon.com/missionstartpodcast, where you can get these episodes early before it goes out on our website and on the internet tubes. If you enjoy our convention talk, we recently put up a new episode of the Conover, talking about Comic-Con and all the adventures that the Roll20 crews went out and talked about. Check out the check out the Conover on our website, which also can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and on Patreon.com. Definitely check it out, guys, if you enjoy convention talk and all that good stuff. And speaking of the Roll20s, if you enjoy comic books, entertainment, talking about movies, kind of like a good wide range of nerdy stuff, check out the Roll20s hosted by Jeremy Wilson. It goes up every Friday on our website, but also, as I said, goes up early on our Patreon and also on iTunes and Stitcher. So definitely check those podcasts out. This is gonna be it for tonight. Today. Oh my God, I am losing it. Anyways, thank you guys again. Always enjoy doing these, and yeah, more to come in the future. Anyways. So with that being said, I am Anthony Be Honest. That was great deets. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.